Welcome to Mark D. Maker. My name is Mark Taylor, and today we'll be carving a goldfinch. A nice little songbird, yellow with black accents. And we'll be doing wing inserts. So there's both wings. The body is made out of tupelo, so this will be a rotary tool. The wings are made of basswood, so we'll be using a knife and doing some knife work. A little bit of something for everybody. So come on over to the workbench. Let's get started. Okay, so here we are at the saw. And as you can see, I have the bird laid out on the chunk of wood there, profile and the top view. They're lined up, which is crucial. Line up the tail on both views and the beak on both views, and you should be okay. Now you can see right here I have a 1/8 inch Starrett saw blade. It's fairly new, and this is sped up twice the speed, and you can see even at twice the speed this is taking some time. And you want to take your time. Those gullets to carry away the sawdust are very, very small. And to prevent the blade from bowing, you don't want to push on the blade. You're just guiding that wood through it. So a gentle touch. If you're pushing hard, that blade will flex and you won't get a very straight cut with that blade. So just nice and easy, push it on through. There's the one aspect of the bird. We're going to put it back together and we're going to tape it up. Now this is packing tape, and packing tape won't hurt the blade at all. It will not gum it up or anything. You'll find that not only people with bandsaws will do this, but scroll sawers will do this. And it's because packing tape is a petroleum product that lubricates the blade and is actually beneficial. So there's a lot of benefits to using the tape. It won't hurt your blade or your saw. And it's a lot of people that do like inlays and stuff like that will cover their whole project so it doesn't burn the wood. It will help prevent burning the wood in hardwoods when you're sawing it. So this is a win-win. You can see just taking your time, guiding it really, not pushing it, guiding it. Gentle touch, especially with this tupelo, because it almost feels like basswood. Had a blade issue there, but I got it all straightened out. And cutting in little details on the tail there, like a forked tail. Something that really helps is having a waxed tabletop on your saw. It just really helps things move along, makes things smoother, more enjoyable as well. But keep the tabletop smooth, and just regular paste wax will help keep that from catching or from being rough. Makes it nice and smooth. We're almost finished here, and here's the bird hiding inside. There he is. Now at this point it's called a blank. So if you buy a goldfish blank, it looks just like this. So now I've taken a pencil and traced around the outside, leaving about the same amount of distance all the way around it. I just put my finger on the side and pull the the pencil along. And we'll be removing that wood. And that'll make it, one, easier to hold and closer to carving in the round. Now you can see here, those corners are taken off. And we're ready to start tooling. But first, this is the book. This is the book that I use to carve all my songbirds. This is a great book. I often get questions, what book do you use? Where do you get your patterns from? They all come from this book. There's 2 versions of it. There's a 1 and a 2, and this is it. This is the book. Now, I really would love to show you the inside of the book, but there's a copyright on the book. I don't want to violate copyright. So, trust me, there's details in that book you will not find in any other book. So I've done just about as much knife work as I can do on this little bird, and this is how I size up the head. This is one of the little patterns that come in there. Top view, side view of the head, and front view of the head. Rarely find that on patterns. And I'm going to take the head down but leave the chest wide like that because that's where all the flight muscles are. So the bird can have the muscles to fly. This will determine the length of the beak and eye placement. But you got to remember, you have to lay it flat and look down on it to get an accurate measurement or view. There's the head on. And you can see the difference there. Got some work to do. And the rest of this will be done with a Dremel and a medium grit sanding drum. So I'm outside now, and we're going to start taking everything and rounding it over. So I have the Dremel set on a relatively low speed. Once again, this Tupelo is very soft, and the sanding drum would just cut a big old groove in it, just quick as all, if I'm not careful. So there's a very gentle touch here at a lower speed, and it does good. I take my time, especially around the head. You want to get the head the proper shape. If you take too much off, it's really hard to do a repair on the head if it's misshapen. So you take the time and sped it up a little bit here, but extremely light touch to take off all those knife marks. Now, if you wanted a rustic bird, I would still, if it's Tupelo, I would still do this. I would still sand it smooth and then go back and put the knife cuts in it. If it's basswood, you just do all the shaping with a knife and just a light sand and then paint it, and that's your rustic looking bird. Now I will say that when you're using a rotary tool or a bandsaw, that you really should protect your lungs and your sinuses. Your lungs don't have the ability to repair themselves. Every time you damage them, that damage is permanent. There's too many woodworkers out there in their old age that get ill from inhaling dust. So protect your lungs and sinuses. Public service announcement. So in addition to the book that I always refer to, I look up and I get lots of photos lots of reference material. That's really key. Reference material is just absolutely critical when you're either doing your own patterns or you're trying to make something as realistic as possible. The details are what bring people in and grabs their attention, and having multiple reference material, different sources is very helpful. So for the beginners, if you do not have a bandsaw, you can order the blanks, the bird that it looks like a bird but it's square. You can buy those birds with blueprints that shows you a lot of the details as a kit from a lot of the wood carving supply places. And you just look up, just Google wood carving supplies, and you'll find a ton of them out there. There's a lot of them. And most all of them sell blanks. They sell, if you're doing birds, glass eyes. There's always taxidermy supplies that sells glass eyes. There's everything from kits that has everything you need to just a blank. There's also roughouts. Roughouts are kind of cranked out in like a mass production lathe type thing. A lot of character carvers will buy roughouts. And it's even a little bit rounded, but there's a lot of detail you can put into it, and it's a great way to learn. So for beginners that don't have a saw, just a knife or just a Dremel is a good option. So with this sanding drum, you see I'm getting close to the beak, but I'm not touching the beak because that sanding drum would eat that beak up in a heartbeat. Just use sandpaper, maybe 180 grit for the beak to shape the beak. That's all it takes. If you tried to touch it with that rotary tool, that beak would disappear. It'd just be dust in the wind. So I'm about done now with the rotary tool, and I'm going to move on to some sandpaper and just smooth everything out. Make sure all my lines are good. This is 180. If it was basswood, I'd be using 100. But because it's Tupelo and sandpaper just would eat it up, 100 grit would eat it up too quickly. So yeah, I'm looking, going, what is this? It's definitely 180. You can see it smooths it out real nice. And the whole time I'm checking for symmetry. I will draw my center line on there as soon as I'm done sanding. Always use that center line. And actually, after I put the center line on, I noticed it was a little bit, the breast on one side was a little bit big, and the head on the opposite side was a little bit big. So I gently took some 100 grit sandpaper, and it took it right down just really quick. Here I'm shaping the beak. That's 180, and just does a great job. Get those angles on it. Bring it to a point. Starting to look real nice. Now, I'm not exactly sure on the length of it quite yet. I'm going to put some calipers on the drawing of the book and on that bird to make sure I get that beak the right length, because I'm going to be using that beak to figure out where the eyes live. The beak is part of the skull, so it's a very stable reference. The reason why I'm sanding it smooth is to give me a good background to do the feather layout. When I do the feather layout, then I'll use a micro tool and carve in the feathers. So I'm about ready to do the feather layout here. I got my center line, and it looks symmetrical. A trick that I use is I'll hold the carving in front of a dark background and look at the perimeter of it like so, and to help me see that there's symmetry. So we're going to continue to work with the Goldfinch in the next couple of videos, and I'm going to put my focus on the beginning bird carver and some tips and tricks to help you along the way. And I'll see you next time.